Welcome to the Investor Coaching Show, a podcast to help you get an insider's view of the financial world and escape common investment traps. We look at the financial news of the day and help you make sense of it so you can relax about money. And here's your host, Paul Winkler.
And welcome. This is the second hour of the Investor Coaching Show. I'm Paul Winkler. I'm Devin Barnard, Jim Wood, hanging out with me today. We talk money and investing because we believe that the more educated you are, the less likely you are to be taken advantage of. And, so often, when it comes to choosing investments, safety is an illusion. The idea of safety, I like what Helen Keller has to say. It's mostly an illusion, that mankind, that we don't really have safety. Yeah. Life is either a daring adventure or it is nothing at all, to paraphrase what she had to say about this very topic. And often people, as they get older, they become more risk averse, as they should. To some extent, typically you want to get a little bit more risk averse because there are certain risks that you just it doesn't make sense to take, especially if you're living off of your investments that you put aside. And if you have too much, volatility risk as in how much it goes up and down, you can have sequence of returns risk where markets go down and then you're trying to pull money out and you're having to sell things at lower prices. So there are ways that you handle that. There are ways in the management of a portfolio that you handle that and mitigate some of that. But the idea is as we get older, sometimes people go a little bit too far the other direction. Well, there was a story my wife shared with me, Deb, shared with me to use on the show. And I just totally had forgotten that it was there. And it was a thing on Inside Edition. And it was about, and I shared a little bit about it last week, but I've got the audio. Check this out.
He's a huge name in NASCAR racing. Now, he and his wife are coming to Inside Edition to say they were scammed by a life insurance agent. They say sold them a policy and didn't disclose the risks. They say the policy was full of hidden fees that cost them millions.
Busch.
Behind the wheel, legendary race car driver Kyle Busch is a bold champion, as well as being known for his hot temper. Off the track, he's friendly and full of charm. Just last week, he and his wife Samantha hit the red carpet at the Country Music Awards in Nashville. And when it comes to protecting his family finances,
he talks about, that it's not always a good idea to take risks, and he might not want to take risks.
Champion says he prefers playing it safe rather than taking the risks he does on the track.
My days of racing are coming closer towards the end, so we were kind of thinking for our future, what do we do? What do we set up for? What do we set up our children for?
So he says it felt like a victory lap when an insurance agent told them they could make big bucks investing his fortune in a special policy with Pacific Life.
So the idea is I can have return without any kind of risk. And you hear that an awful lot. If your advisor isn't giving you a bonus on your money.
I'll finish the sentence if it's okay.
If they're not giving you a guaranteed return of X amount per year,
right?
There's something wrong with your advisor. No, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not deluded into thinking that you can get return without any risks whatsoever. Because that sounds really, really good.
Oh yeah,
it sounds good.
I mean, crack is an easy sell, right?
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up.
Wow, I can fly. This is great.
Yeah. Feel great and less filling, right? But listen to what he has to say about this, where this all went.
$1 million of that is gone. That's a lot of money to lose.
Okay, this sounds really, really good.
You're like, this is safe. This is great. This is my future.
How much money did you put into the plan?
$10.4 million.
But now they say $8.5 million of that is gone. That's a lot of money to lose.
That is correct.
Now they're suing the agent and the insurance company, saying they were lied to and that the policy contained hidden fees and was really designed to rake in huge commissions.
The commissions on my policy alone were over 35% of $10 million. It's a pretty easy number to figure out what's in his pocket.
As a race car driver who had a bit of a hot temper, I can't imagine you weren't mad.
Yeah, can you just imagine? So, and the commissions can be all over the place regarding these products. But I'm telling you that commissions create that conflict, and that's something we talk about so often, is that these products are sold based on the idea of you get a free lunch. And that is the point that I just want to make here in this particular segment, is just talk a little bit about how so often we're pulled in because something sounds super, super good. And it's a real easy sell. But anytime that somebody gives you something like that and saying, hey, this is really great, check this out. This is, I had a guy tell me one time that, hey, I got this product. He says, what do you think about, he was talking about indexed annuities. And he said, what do you think? And this is a financial guy. What do you think about that, Paul? He asked me because he knew who I was. And I said, not much. And I go, what do you mean? What do you mean not much? You don't like it? And I says, no, I'm not a fan at all. And he says, well, why? And I says, well, you have all kinds of limits on your returns. You have participation rates. You have, you can have cap rates, every year on your product, the spreads on these things. And I went through all the list of things. He goes, well, I got this product and the participation rate's over 100%. It's like 120%, I forgot what it was. It was over 100%.
Yeah.
And I wasn't familiar with the product. And I said, oh, wait a minute. You can't have a product that gives you what you're telling me about. It can't work. The insurance company's got to make money. There's no way on God's creation, because you are basically giving your money to an insurance company and they are a go-between between you and where your money is ultimately invested. We call it disintermediation in the academic world. They are basically an intermediary. There is no way that they're giving you something that they can't get on the other side when they invest your money. There's no way. Oh, you ought to check it out. I said, give me the name of the product. He gave me the name of the product. The very next Saturday, I did a radio show. And not only did I cover the product, but I also covered the insurance commissioner's coverage of the product.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't pretty. It was awful. It was scathing. And you may ask, well, why do they let them sell it if it's such a bad product?
That's a great question, really.
Free country.
Yeah.
And that's just it.
Capitalism.
It is basically it. That is the stance.
There's all 75 pages of disclosure.
As long as you got the disclosures, as long as they're out there, it is buyer beware. And that is exactly what happened. And I'm telling you, this happened. There were things that these people signed. I don't know where this case is going to go. I have no clue, and I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, I just from knowing insurance in general over the years.
Yeah.
And even knowing that product, or Index Universal Life in general.
The product, the concept of the product.
Yeah. I honestly will be interested to see the facts of the case of where the $8.5 million
where it went.
Exactly.
The fees just typically aren't that outrageously high. They're bad.
They're bad.
Not criminal.
In essence, with these products, the problem that you run into is not only the limitation on the returns and the way they limit the upside returns, but you also have the expense of the insurance contract as well. How much life insurance? What was the death benefit on this?
Right.
So you could have additional expenses. So it certainly could have what he's talking about there. But it would be interesting to see what happened. But in effect, number one, life insurance. It's been talked about for so many years as being an investment product, and they have to change the name that they give it. They used to call it whole life insurance, then they went to universal life insurance, then they called it personal pension plans, and you can have your own personal Roth IRA and
be your own bank.
Yeah, be your own bank is another one. Sure, that's good heaven. Yeah, that's another. So that's another warning sign when you hear them continually change the name of the product that you're buying. Because they have to, because the name that it has is so bad in the public mind. It's probably a warning sign that you may want to stay away from it as well.
And it's a shame that that's what I would call a well-respected company, right? I mean, they've been around a while. It's not like a fly-by-night. Pacific Life is not new to the party, right?
It's a well-known name,
and so you get this. You mentioned the halo effect earlier,
right?
of, somebody else is using that, or, they advertise on the golf tournaments or something.
Right.
And before I dovetail off of that, can I read the name of a financial group that gives out advice on the internet and so forth? Can I use the name? Okay.
Yeah, it's not a local company.
Oh, no, it's Motley Fool.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
fine. You're fine. Yeah,
I was doing some research this morning, and then a Motley Fool ad for some.
Because as much as I like to, I don't pick on the local companies.
Yeah. Some stock that's going to be better than Apple. And, it's like a 20-minute video.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but I'm a nerd, and so I was watching this like, okay, what can we find out? So this guy from Motley Fool, science and tech analyst for them, of course, you never get to the recommendation. You got to buy their subscription to find out this stock that's going to change the world.
Right.
So I thought, okay.
Like they give you that information
well, these people are great. So I thought, well, how did the Motley Fool's funds do? Okay, if they're giving me the stock pick, how'd it do? So here's the Motley Fool Global Opportunities ETF.
They have an ETF. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that they had.
Oh, they used to have funds, and now they've switched a lot of them to ETFs.
Why did I not know that? Oh my goodness. I'm just usually
you were too busy having a concert in Germany or something like that.
That's probably it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So here, Motley Fool Global Opportunities ETF seeks to provide long-term capital appreciation through investment in high-quality U.S. and international companies.
Yeah.
Where have we heard that before? Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the main thing. Number one, it's about half U.S., half international, just to give you that mix. Year-to-date return. And I'll just use NAV, net asset value. Mm-hmm. Year-to-date, 5.7%.
Ooh.
The benchmark.
Oh, my goodness.
The benchmark, which is the FTSE All Global All Cap.
I mean, that's pathetically bad for those of you that don't know.
18.8.
Yeah.
1 year return, 7.1. Benchmark, 17.2. 3-year average return, 17%. Or maybe 3-year total return. I don't know. 17.4, benchmark 23. And so, the 5-year return 7.4, benchmark 13.6. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not sure if I want to pay for a subscription for these stock picks because they suck.
Yeah.
They do call themselves the Fools, and their little logo is a jester.
The jester cap, yeah. So I thought, okay, well, maybe that was just cherry picking. So I thought, okay, I'll pull another one up, the Small Cap Growth ETF. And, of course, they seek to get growth in small companies.
I like the word that they use, they seek.
Yeah, seeks to achieve.
I seek to win the lottery.
That's right. I seek to make it to my 32nd anniversary, giving pixels to my bride for,
That's right.
for her gift. And so, again, the year-to-date return for the Small Cap Growth, -2. The Russell 2000 is up 11. 1 year return 4. Russell up 13. 3-year return 14. Russell up 17. And so, just because something has a name that you've known, and Motley Fool's been around, gosh, I bet 40 years, maybe more. Long time.
Yeah.
But just because they have a name, and even just because they make recommendations, that's one of the reasons I like what we do. We've got GIPS audited returns of everything we do. We can back it up, and it's, I'll say repeatable. I think that's a safe word to use. It's
repeatable.
Our investment philosophy stands the test of time because it's not dependent on some fad or something like that.
Well, and let me hit that, Evan, because I wasn't sure where you were going with that. Because we're like really, really hesitant to go and say anything's repeatable. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. So people often, let me clear up something. They often hear me say, do not look at past performance when investing.
Right.
And this is something I've had to clear up over the years. You say, well, don't look at past performance. What on earth else are we going to look at, Paul? And what we're talking about here is, let's say that you have a group like this, or you have anybody that has done well in the past versus their benchmark. So he just gave an example of where they were way below the areas of the market they were investing in. The returns are way the heck below, 5% versus 17% or whatever the numbers were, right? Okay, so if you look at that and go, wow, that's 12% under. That's a huge difference right there. That's underperformance. Well, let's say that the roles were reversed. Let's say the market went up 5% and their portfolio went up 17%. People will invest and go, wow, these people seem to be really skilled at getting us into the right things and getting us into the right things at the right times, more importantly. And they have the ability, they have the golden gift of being able to do this. And, well, because of that, I need to listen to what they have to say on what's coming next. And that is a big mistake that people make. And they say, well, Paul, if you don't look at past performance, what do you look at? And you look at asset categories, and this is what Fama, French, Singfeld, all of these academics they looked at. They looked at cost of capital. What were the returns? If you look at large U.S. companies, for example, every 30-year period in all of history, the rate of return was right in the neighborhood of 10%. Now, it didn't matter what 30-year period they looked at. Small companies, it was in the neighborhood of about 12%, but it would vary some. It was, you had some 30-year periods where it was 10 and some that was, 14. Now, here's the thing. Is that if we look at that and we say, well, where can I explain where that return came from? Is it likely to be repeatable? Based on what's going on right now. We know that large U.S. stocks sell for about 16 times earnings. The $1 of earnings divided by 16 equals 6.25%, and earnings grow at about 3 to 4% per year, let's say. And you take those two numbers, you get 10. Are the numbers right now around 16? Yeah, they are. A little bit higher for some areas of the market, a little bit lower for other areas of the market. But the point is that can you definitively say that the return is definitely going to be that in the future? No, because nothing is guaranteed. You could have global financial Armageddon. You could have the whole world comes to an end. Jesus comes back and we're all gone and it doesn't matter anyway. But, the reality of it is, is there some precedence or is there some reason to believe that it's likely to be that in the future, that companies will have to continue to pay your money to use your money going forward? Right. Is it likely that they're going to have that small companies are going to have to pay more to use your money than large companies do? Is it likely that distressed companies are going to have to pay more to use your money than growth companies in the future? Are the numbers, as far as what we're paying, what price we're paying for every dollar of earnings, are they in line with historic norms to lead us to believe that maybe there's nothing weird going on? And that would be the answer is yes. So I just want to clear that up regarding what Evan was saying right there. It wasn't necessarily that I can say definitively, right? But the reality of it is that, when we know, does it make sense? And then I'll put it this way. Does it make sense that in the past that diversification was a prudent way of managing money? Was it? Yes, it was. Is it likely that diversification will be prudent in the future? It is likely. And that's what we go on when we make investing decisions. We don't look at things like past performance. Go ahead, Jim. He's chomping on the bit.
I'm going to get a word in somewhere.
You go ahead, man.
Well, you started out by just talking about, safety is illusion.
Yes.
And I think to add to that would be complete safety is an illusion. And the idea is exactly what you're saying is to put yourself in a position to give yourself the highest probability of success.
Yes.
And that's exactly how I frame it to people.
Yes.
You take whatever precautions, you use the math, you use the science, you use the academics to put yourself in the best absolute position you can, and not, in terms of gambling and speculating and all those other things.
Yeah, well said. And I think that's exactly right. You just go, hey, you know what? Solomon said 3,000 years ago to put your money into 7 to 8 places. He talked about planning in the morning, planning in the evening. He talked about, don't look at the clouds, don't look at the rain, and to decide whether to plant or sow. This stuff is ageless. And, we got... we got lots of evidence that what was said 3,000 years ago still applies. Will it likely apply in the next 20 years?
So Proverbs was like...
That was Ecclesiastes.
I know, but okay. Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, maybe, even if you want to include that. It was kind of like a prehistoric podcast, basically. I mean, he could have done these little bits of wisdom, and they go viral, and... The nation's crazy.
No, I think it's good. So that's really where we're going with that. It's a lot of this stuff is ageless, timeless, and And it's good. It gives you some level of comfort that it's nothing new under the sun, to again quote Solomon.
Hey, just a note to you podcast folks, we just came out with a retirement income guide, and I'm super excited about this. There are all kinds of myths about taking income in retirement. People worry about running out of money, and rightfully so, because a lot of these myths can actually cause that. Now, the myths that you typically hear about, number one, dividends, living off dividends in retirement. Real estate, life insurance as a retirement investment, and annuities, and interest-bearing accounts, and target date funds. There are all kinds of things out there. What I want to do is put something together that walks through why those things are problematic, number one. Number two, the other thing that I wanted to do is walk through the evidence-based research on taking income in retirement. And we got a ton of data going all the way back to 1900. What's the logic behind it? And it's intensely logical. So we put that together, and all you have to do to download that, making it super simple, just go to paulwinkler.com/relax, and you can actually get into that very easily right there. So I would urge you to do that. Check it out, because I think you're going to really like it. paulwinkler.com/relax.
All right, we're back here on the Investor Coaching Show. Paul Winkler, Evan Barnard, and Jim Wood. PaulWinkler.com is the website where you can check out all of the audio, the video, sign up for the podcast. Tremendously popular podcast. Thank you very much out there. For those of you that have signed up for that, you get something you get a little message every day. Hey, this is what the topic is today. So you can, look at topics that you're like, hey, I wonder what they think about that. You can do that. The billionaire cash for kids and capitalism. So Michael Dell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing, right?
$6.5 billion, I think, or 6.2.
Six and a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, $6.25 billion to give kids money. It's basically piggybacking off of the Trump account type of thing. And they were saying in the Wall Street Journal that billionaires are just unpopular. But there are more of them. Did you see the stat that there are more of them in the world, that it's exploding, the number of them? And you look at it and go, gosh, that's terrible. Billionaires, they create so many jobs. It's just terrible to have, people that are successful. And it just boggles the mind that people fight against that idea. But anyway, it says billionaires are unpopular these days, even more than usual, and some of them are trying to court a better image by endorsing a government-guaranteed income for all Americans. Talk about that more in a second. But anyway, founder of Dell Technologies and his wife will provide $250 for children. So you got the Trump accounts, it's $1,000.
Yes.
And you can add to that. They're saying that they're putting $250 in accounts for kids under the age of 10 because... Well, with the Trump accounts, you've got kids born between January of 2025 and December 31 of 2028. So you just have that short window of time that they're going to have this program out there for kids where you're going to get $1,000. Now, with the Dell accounts, they're actually targeting zip codes, which I think is interesting. Mm-hmm. They're targeting zip codes with median income of $150,000 or less. And they're looking at kids that are born, it's a longer period of time, for age 10 and under, born before January 1st of 2025. So trying to include a few extra people in there, a bunch of extra people in there, really. And the theory behind the Trump accounts is give every young American a start on building up savings. The thing that they're going to be investing is in this broad index of U.S. stocks. Have you guys seen which index they're actually looking at tracking?
I just know it's the S&P. I don't know if there was. I haven't seen a separate.
It may be just
deal.
the S&P.
I thought it just had to be some sort of index, but they didn't really say exactly how they were going to define some sort of index.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard as well, Jim. I've heard both. What you guys both have said. I've heard both sides of it, and I don't really know what they're going to invest in. Mainly U.S. companies. It's kind of that ethnocentric type of an approach to investing where we go, hey, we're the only game in town, when reality, you've got, dozens of countries around the world, and I would want to be more diversified. This is why I'm not a big advocate of adding to it. I know, Evan, you also had talked about the idea of taxation of the accounts.
Yeah.
Well,
and
was
the
problematic.
contributions aren't deductible. I mean, that's
Right,
one
not
piece that I
deductible,
know.
taxed at regular tax rates if not used for education, whereas you get capital gains tax rates if you have a regular investment account. Much, much better taxation on just using your own non-qualified account.
Yeah. The IRS just issued guidance, and this is still draft.
Okay.
They haven't issued. I've got a copy of the draft form. Form 4547 if you're trying to apply for the Trump account for your child.
Okay.
But eligible investments during the growth period, a Trump account can only be invested in eligible investments. An eligible investment generally is a mutual fund or an exchange-traded fund that tracks an index of primarily U.S. companies.
Primarily
So
U.S.
at least
companies.
in the IRS pub, which is not the legislation.
Okay.
It would appear that you could do the Russell 2000. You could probably do the NASDAQ. And comply.
Right.
But it's all large U.S. to choose from. Well, I guess small.
Or
just any,
all U.S.
All U.S.
Yeah.
All U.S.
Yeah, mainly U.S. And primarily because you can even have weirdly you can have a U.S. index and have a couple international companies in there.
Yeah.
Which is very odd. But yeah, it's going to be primarily that, and you could see where Trump would want that because he wants people having ownership in the U.S. economy. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
We're not quite so patriotic just because I want to make sure that you have periods of time, long periods of time. I'm kidding about being patriotic, but you can have long periods of time. It's kind of like that idea of socially responsible investing. People want to be socially responsible, and they paid for it in terms of lower returns and greater risks. It wasn't a really good idea. And I always tell people, if you want to be socially responsible, do your investing better, make more money for you and your family, and then use it for good purposes.
Yeah.
It's kind of my focus on that. But, they said the theory behind the Trump accounts is to give every young American a start on building up savings that they can use after they turn age 18 until the money will be invested. Until then, the money's invested in these indexes. Trump accounts aren't without political risk, and I think this is interesting. I think this is a point well made. Since Democrats, apparently written by a Republican, will try to expand the government donations to make the accounts another engine of income redistribution. And I think that's the primary thing that is a criticism of this.
That's a big one, though.
It makes sense. Yeah, don't be surprised if the political left tries to steer the assets into investments they favor. ESG. I think that's probably what they're referring to here. Environmental, social governance portfolios. Rather than the larger stock market, it's crucial that the accounts remain an individual property right. But also just handing people money can be problematic. Can you make a case that if, think about why is it better to own a home rather than rent a home? We know that renters don't take care of their homes as well as people that actually own them do.
Yeah.
So we've always had deduction historically of mortgage interest to get people to actually invest in their own home. And that was the pride of ownership. Well, is there a case to be made for that? That, if I have pride of ownership, I own part of the American company.
Yeah.
I own companies in my portfolio. Is there something to that?
Yeah. Just going through this draft while you were talking on distributions.
Yeah.
So it's going to be treated like an IRA.
Right.
Like
it's all taxable.
like a traditional IRA.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is during the growth period, which is until January 1st of the year you turn 19.
Yeah. Tax deferral.
The only distributions that can be made from a Trump account are qualified rollover contributions to a rollover Trump account, qualified able rollover contributions.
Okay. Yeah, for disabled.
To an able account of the account beneficiary. Distributions of excess contributions, if you put in more than the $5,000, I think, that the law allows.
Right.
And then most of the rules that apply to traditional IRAs will generally apply to the Trump account, which means if they take the money out at 20, they'll have income tax and the 10% penalty. They're going to have the 10% penalty on that just like a traditional IRA if they take it out before 59 and a half.
Oh, if it's not used for... So
if it's not used for higher education, the
Yeah,
typical
exactly. That's what I was
exceptions,
thinking.
first-time home purchase,
Right,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So, and not a big fan of funding over the $1,000 that they give you for free. Jim, you got something real quick before we go to break?
Well, just the whole idea of these government programs that, they sound great, they're well-intentioned, but they always turn out to be a complicated mess.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways to encourage something like this. Just a tax credit that everybody just boom. You pay less taxes if you take that money and invest it in some account for a kid or something like that. But even then, just the incentives always get messed up, and then the costs of the complications of the programs and stuff like that. So,
For sure.
in general, not a fan.
Definitely, no question.
Hey, this is Paul Winkler. Hope you enjoyed today's edition of the Investor Coaching Show. If you want to learn more about what we do, go to our website, paulwinkler.com. Until next time, I'm Paul Winkler, reminding you that I believe that more educated investors are more confident investors, and confident investors are more successful investors. Have a great one. Advisory services offered through Paul Winkler, Inc., an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Paul Winkler, Inc. does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation.